Hey, what's up, you bums? Happy Tuesday. This is the video for Tuesday, 4/28. Um, Still no information on the school district and gradings and stuff. I think we should be getting that this week. I just got a call from the school, so I'll check that out here in just a second and see what that is. Um, but we're going to keep going with World War One, and we're getting ourselves set up so that we can take a test on Thursday. We're still going to go as normal, take our tests, take our notes, everything else until we learn otherwise. Cool, cool. All right. So let's jump into the PowerPoint because I'm a little behind with where I'd like to be. Voicemail just came through from the school. We talked about poisonous gas yesterday. We talked about trench warfare and how horrible and terrible uh, that was. Pretty rough, pretty rough. So there, please write this down. Dang it. I can't access the tools. Okay, please write that down. Um, Tanks and airplanes get thrown in. Now, the crazy thing is now that that we got tanks that can go like 60 miles an hour, and the cannon on the front mounted can stay steady while you're going 60 miles an hour. They've even done as much about putting like a bottle of water on the tip of it, and they've gone 60 miles an hour and they've fired the cannon and it didn't spill any water, which is pretty crazy. These tanks were extremely slow, and basically they were just used to get over a tank, and that's it. Um, or not over a tank, over a trench. Airplanes, same thing. They're not going to be really used for like carrying soldiers. Really, it's going to be more for like spying on people, flying them around, seeing how many people are in a trench. Oh, excuse me. Ugh. Tired. And communicating that information to your higher up so that they can figure out what they're going to do when going and trying to attack a whole nother trench, um, and everything else. Other than that, the planes were just really more for looks and to scare the crap out of people. World War II's whenever they get, kind of a modern idea. Um, all right, so here's a story. There was a guy I knew. I didn't really, I wouldn't go as far to say he was my friend. His name was Matt Clemens, and Matt, um, he had this game that he would play in his apartment, and I hated it. Whenever you showed up to his apartment, he had a game called Fair Warning, and what he would do is he had like a 3 pound medicine ball, like for working out in the gym. And whenever he was playing Fair Warning, that meant somebody had that medicine ball. And when you were least expecting it, they're probably going to throw it at your head, right? And then you get hit in the head with this medicine ball and you're all kinds of mad and everything else. Sometimes you're the one with it and you can plan it out and you can hit somebody upside the head. We were stupid 18-year-olds. But here's the thing, if I'm hanging out at Matt Clemens' apartment and I walk in and somebody yells, "Fair warning," and then 30 minutes later I get hit upside the head with that medicine ball, can I be mad that I got hit upside the head with that medicine ball? Probably not, because they gave me warning ahead of time. Right. There were times where I went over to his house and I opened the front door and said, "What's up?" And they said, "Fair warning." And I said, "All right, see you guys later." And I just turned around and left and shut the door behind me. This is Germany's war version of fair warning. They had submarines. They called them undersea boots. That's where the term U-boat comes from. That would be the name in German. And they were tired of Americans taking stuff to the British and the French. Remember, the Americans aren't involved in the war at this point in time. And so they said, "All right, we see a boat that's not ours in the water. Doesn't matter. We're going to blow it up." So we kept testing it and we kept testing it. And so they finally blew up a boat. What boat did they blow up? They blew up a boat called the Lusitania. It was a British boat. Now, see, the really crappy thing is that there were passengers on this boat. Was there military equipment? Absolutely. Were we trying to make it seem like there weren't military equipment? It was just people? Yeah, we were. And we got caught with it. And 128 people lost their lives that were American. And I'm talking like kids and women. And nobody wants to see a picture of a dead kid's body that they just got out of the ocean. And so that's going to be very big about getting the Americans in the war. There's the Lusitania, looks a lot like the Titanic. And then we got in, the United States gets involved for two reasons. Reason number one, the boat. And reason number two, a note. It's really easy to remember for World War One and America's involvement, a boat and a note. We got a letter. Have you ever been caught passing a note in class when you're in like elementary school? You don't really have to do that anymore with texting. That's very soon going to become obsolete. When I was a kid, people used to pass notes because they didn't have phones. Well, Germany got caught passing a note to Mexico. And it was like, do you think I'm cute? Yes, no, or maybe. Instead of that, it was like, do you want to attack the United States? Yes, no, or maybe. And Mexico was like, we didn't know anything about it. But now we got proof that Germany's going to try to attack us at some point. And they've already killed our people. And so we're like, all right, it's time to go to war. And really, it was important that the United States joined the war because of timing. But the tough thing about it was the United States didn't have enough soldiers to go through with the war. And that's why we had to create the draft. Ladies and gentlemen, the draft still exists. I registered for the draft on October the 5th, 2006. That was my 18th birthday. Women, at this point in time, you're not registered or you're not required to register for the draft. Gentlemen, whether you're joining the military or not, you got to register for the draft. It's just something we do. We haven't drafted anybody since 1974. I don't think it's ever going to happen again because if we ever have a big war like World War One or World War Two again, I really think it's going to be nuclear weapons and we won't have to worry about it. Right? It'll just be dropping nukes and that kind of thing. But back then we needed soldiers, right? All right. So when I registered for the draft in 2006, it was really easy. I went to their website. I filled out like 8 questions. It was my name, my address, my social security number, um, how I found out about it, stuff like that. And then I clicked enter and they gave me a really long number. Today, if we had the draft, what they would do is they just go on a computer, they would click enter, they would say they need 20,000 names, and then it would just automatically call 20,000 people and say, you've been drafted. Back in the day, what they did is it wasn't as sophisticated. They took your birthday and they gave your birthday a number, right? That was the number of the day of the year that your birthday falls on, which is kind of confusing, right? If your birthday was January 1st, your number was 1. If your birthday was January 31st, your number was 31. If your birthday was February 1st, your number was 32, right? Your birthday was December 31st, you're 365. If you were a leap baby, I know somebody's thinking it, they just tied your birthday in with February 28th. And they had 365 bingo balls. They ran them through the bingo machine, they pulled it out, and if it had your number on it, then they sent you a letter. That's what the United States had to do, and we adapted. Other countries did the exact same thing. 2.4 million people registered for the draft, and 2 million people, excuse me, oh, I'm yawning. Ugh, yawning like crazy. 2 million people ended up actually being drafted and going and serving in World War One, which is pretty crazy. And we used that draft for World War Two in Korea and Vietnam. So it was used 4 different times. And we still have it just in case. But like I said, I don't know that we're ever going to need it because of nuclear weapons. Why was it important that the United States joined the war? Because as we were coming in, Russia was going out. I'm gonna move myself up here. All right. Russia quit in the middle of World War One because they had stuff to take care of at home. They were in the middle of a communist revolution. Um, Big difference in communism and socialism, but I'm going to save that for the Cold War and get everything done. But basically, essentially, guys, communism is the government controlling absolutely everything. They were tired of rich people being rich and mistreating poor people, and so they killed the rich people. They killed the people in charge, and they made it to where everybody was equal. Um, and we'll talk about that in the 1950s and what communism actually means and everything else, and what socialism is, and things they have in common and things that they don't. But either way, Russia goes home and the United States comes in. And why is that important? Number one, because we were fresh. England was tired, France was tired, Germany was tired, Russia was tired. They've been fighting in this war for 4 years, and the United States had not been involved, right? This is like whenever you're playing basketball. It's very, very, very important that you have players that can come off the bench and be good and give the starters a chance to rest. Um, Sometimes you just need fresh legs to come out and help everybody out. It's why relief pitchers exist in baseball. Not to make another sports reference, but sometimes you need somebody that can just have a role and come in. And for the United States, that was the role. Really, the United States waited so long because they didn't want to get in a war and lose it. So they were waiting to make sure that they were going to join the side that could actually win. And then the last thing that we need to get today, guys, this is it. Woodrow Wilson, American president. He said, if we have 14 rules and everybody followed these rules, we would never have another world war again. Now, obviously, we have another world war, so people didn't follow his rules. All right. But these make sense. Number one, no secret treaties. Keep everything out in the open. Don't be texting about people behind their back. Talk about it, and like you don't like somebody, tell them. Right. Number two, freedom of the seas. No more blowing up passenger boats. If you got a boat, you can float it wherever you want, whatever floats your boat. Number three, removing economic barriers. People can trade wherever, whenever. Number four, arms reduction. You got less guns, you're probably going to shoot less people. Number five, new colonial policy. You can't have colonies, no more imperialism unless you're the United States, France, or England. That one's kind of screwed up. 8 new countries got developed, like Austria-Hungary became Austria and Hungary, and they lost a lot of land, and Serbia gained a lot of land. The most important one, guys, is the idea of the League of Nations, which did not pass because one country did not join the League of Nations, and I'll tell you that one country tomorrow. This is an idea where every country comes together and they talk about it. All their problems, they put it out there, and this is where everything works. And there's one country that doesn't join, and it's probably not the country you're thinking of. Okay, I'll tell you that country tomorrow. That's the whole thing. 14 points. We'll never have another world war again, but we didn't follow it, right? Mainly the 14th point. Now we have the United Nations because World War II, and we've not had another world war. So 14 might be it. And the one country that didn't join really screwed it all up. And again, I'll tell you that. So that brings up the assignment. Real quick, then we'll be done. I don't want you to come up with 14. I want you to come up with 7. This is called your 7 points. Imagine a perfect world where everybody actually followed your instructions, right? As a teacher, that would be fantastic, right? Imagine a perfect situation. 7 people, or I'm sorry, not 7 people, 7 rules, and everybody follows it. What are your 7 rules to prevent another war from ever happening again? We're talking world peace forever and always. Okay. And then at the bottom, tell me which one you think is the most important in 3 to 4 sentences. Going to finish up. I sent you guys um, a meeting in Microsoft Teams. First period is at 10:30. Second period is at 11. Fourth period is at 11:30 tomorrow morning. I'll be online. If you want to check in, check in. I'll be here. We can talk about assignments. We can talk about school. We can talk about life. We can talk about whatever. I'm here for you. Other than that, I'll see you guys tomorrow.